Playmore fans, it is time for week 4. We bounced back last week, and now we're taking on the Detroit Steelwings, coached by Seabad. I'm very excited for this one because your boy's cooking. He kind of cooked. So before we dive into everything, I just wanted to be known, I kind of put this together on the fly pretty early on in the week. Then I got really busy with work. I started a new job. I had a recent promotion, which is great. But it made me pretty busy and I had to work a little late some days, which is unfortunate. And then Showdown went down, so I wasn't able to do any mocks for a bit. Even though some servers were live, I kind of used it as an excuse just to relax because I was kind of stressed out. And then I went to the beach for the weekend, so got a little sunburn in certain parts that you can't see. Shout out to the coach fit. But I mean, we're doing what we can. So no mocks. But I'm confident in the team still. Like, I cooked heat, but I cooked heat that, like, should work. So I'm not spitting out any Johns or anything like that. I just want to say it's, like, I guess not as nerdy as I normally build, but anyone that likes heat, I brought you something this week. But going into the Chase's team, just real quick, you know, he's got the Overquill, which is very scary in terms of a rain sweeper into my team. Empoleon, Sylveon, both great natural special defensive tanks that still have good longevity and decent defense as well, while also having the capabilities of being absolute special breakers. Gastrodon, Diancie, and Rotom Heat. Diancie is just such a good staple mon in draft, low tier or not. If anything, this might be one of the better, like, just tier 3s in general. Diancie is a menace, and having double fairy is pretty sick, to be honest. Gastrodon, of course, gives him a water immunity, along with the electric immunity because of the ground type. But just a really good mon, and getting hazards to it this generation is insane. He has so many good hazards on his team, it's actually ridiculous. And then Rotom Heat's always reliable, good pivot, can be bulky, can be set up, trick with Scarf or Specs, whatever you want to do. Its only downside is that it can only run over Heat, which really sucks, but I mean, that's the Rotom forms in general, you know. And then Virizion was actually newly added to his team as of this week. So I kind of view it as a little bit of a threat. Not gonna lie, Swords Dance can scare me a bit here. So you have to be on the lookout for that because it does have a decent natural speed cure to me. It only underspeeds Frostlass and Superior, while also speed tying with Galvantula. Ursaring, this thing's a menace. Definitely a very strong tier 4 and a great Eviolite user. Eviolite, Eviolite, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. It's right in some way. And then Drifblim, this thing has already been very good for Chase and a menace in the previous season of SPL with Gympact, and might have lost to it before. But then he's got his Terra Captains, he's got Servine, so we got a potential father versus son match, which is spoiler alert, first mon is literally superior. So he can have Contrary as well. His Terra types are Grass, Stellar, and Fairy, which is a very interesting combination. I love the Stellar because of the ability to get the Contrary boost with Stellar Terra Blast. I don't like the Fairy. I personally think he should have Fire over Fairy, but it's still got potential because Fairy is just annoying for my team in general. And then Dugtrio, this is also a new addition. Chase just acknowledged he had no speed before these transactions. He didn't have Virizion or Dugtrio, so his fastest Pokemon was Rotom Heat at base 86. So I'm very happy he made these changes for himself. I don't like they were right before me because it makes the team a little bit scarier, but he definitely needed more speed on his team. It was something I gave him a lot of slack for when I was looking at like the teams and like ranking them in terms of best versus worst drafts and things along that sort. But the hazards on his team are crazy. The setup potential, the bulk, it's nothing to sleep at or scoff at. Whatever the saying is, don't do it because that's rude and disrespectful. Chase is an amazing human being, one of the kindest people in this world. But I have to destroy him. And this is how we're going to do it. So first off, we have Superior. I'm bringing it. I'm bringing the Overgrow Swords Dance set, and I'm ready to do some work. It actually has an amazing matchup into his team, and that is Zero Cap on Bubby. Swords Dance, Bullet Seed, Skill Shot, and Substitute with the Loaded Dice. Using Loaded Dice with Skill Shot to have something outside of our Grass Stab, but also it allows us to get that speed boost and start outspeeding anything on his team like the Dugtrio or something that is Choice Scarf to try and revenge the Superior, which is very important because I feel like he does need to bring a Choice Scarf for this week. I don't know what it will be, but I think it benefits him a lot. And then additionally, Substitute, even though we're not really keeping the sub versus too many things, I feel like Rotom Heat is going to be one of, if not his primary answer to Superior. But since it's kind of forced to just overheat and do nothing else, as long as I substall that, after one sub on an overheat, I automatically live the next one. Unless he's like Choice Specs, then I should live it. That's 75% with the -2 drop. So the bulky sub-Serp really putting in work here. So let's hope it does right. I debated Coil over Swords Dance, but Superior is stupid weak. So I needed the +2 compared to relying on the bulk and other bonuses for it. I also debated like some Leech Seed or Synthesis set for some sort of longevity. I couldn't run Leftovers because I really needed that loaded dice. But I feel like this can do it, and it can put in some work. It might catch him off guard. He has just a lot of great natural special defensive mons that I'm really trying to avoid this game and like capitalize on in different ways, which you'll notice. Next we have Blaziken. This is nothing too special actually. It's probably like the most basic set I have this week. But we have Choice Band Blaziken with an Adamant Nature, max attack, close combat, Flare Blitz, knockoff, and U-turn. This thing is a menace for him. If he doesn't bring Drifblim, I'm going to lock myself into close combat. I don't even care if he has defensive Sylveon. I'm just going to do it because it does a whole bunch of damage. And even if he has a max defensive Drifblim, you have 5 seconds to guess how much Flare Blitz or knockoff does to Drifblim. Max defense. Time's up. It does 70% minimum. That is ridiculous. Blaziken is a monster. I know Drifblim's like defensive stats aren't great. It's just the HP, but it's still insane. So I'm really looking forward to this mon putting in work as I expected to do all season. Hashtag MVP betting. Ooh, I can't believe I just used hashtag. That was cringed. Okay, moving on to Porygon 2. Porygon 2, we got an interesting one. We have Download with Double Edge. Now, like I just mentioned before, he has a lot of good, naturally, especially defensive Pokemon that I want to punish. How do we do that? We come in on those Pokemon. We get the Download boost. Oh, it's attack. Darn. Double Edge. Double Edge, and we can get to it KO'd. If we're able to deal with like the Diancie or the Drifblim, I know there's a situation where you might want to like trick or switcheroo a Choice Scarf, or I doubt a Specs, but maybe a Choice Scarf onto my Porygon 2 if he's able, because he doesn't really have too much knockoff. He has a decent amount, but not the best, to where his best way to punish P2 might be trick. If he gives me a Scarf Double Edge is looking pretty nasty into him, not gonna lie, especially if I keep that attack boost. Double Edge in the late game could look clean, so I might just save that and not reveal it. We are a minus special attack nature with Thunderbolt, which is interesting. So I debated between the speed or the special attack, and I opted to just go with the special attack because it was only like a 5-point difference in damage for between non-minus special attack nature and a minus special attack nature when it was Thunderbolt on Empoleon or Drifblim. And I felt like the speed was a little bit more beneficial just because I'm in that 60 area and I'm competing with a lot of the Pokemon on his team, such as the Sylveon, the Empoleon, and all that stuff. So I just wanted to make sure I can get some necessary outspeeds on a few things. Next we have Earthworm. This is a very interesting set. I'm so excited. One thing I noticed when I was building this team, I was like, dang, I am weak as heck to Diancie. How do I deal with this thing? If this thing gets a Diamond Storm defense boost, or if he's just Iron defense, I'm in a very bad situation. And Earthworm is right there. I was planning on bringing it anyways, but you can see the special move on the screen that really lets it be a check to a defensive Diancie. We have Steel Beam. For those of you who do not know, Steel Beam does a lot of damage. Specifically, Steel Beam does 140 base damage, and that is a lot of damage. Earthworm only has base 60 special attack. What is a 12 special attack non-boosting nature with a metal coat to boost its steel type moves? Steel Beam due to max special defensive Diancie is a 25% chance to OHKO. What? Like if he's a setup Diancie, or even if he's just mixed bulk, I probably just kill. And I 100% kill after a Spike, which you can see I'm also carrying Spikes because hazards are great into Chase. He did drop his Hitmontop for more speed, but unfortunately he lost his other form of removal. He only has Default Drifblim at the moment for removal. And even though I could have brought a lot more to punish that, I decided to cook a little bit closer to the sun. So Earthworm, it's here to pick up a cheeky kill on Diancie, hopefully. If not, it's just a great designated check to Dugtrio. It can deal with physically offensive Overquill to an extent. Obviously, after Swords Dance or getting a Rain Dance boost and everything like that, it can definitely become more of an issue. It also really helps me versus Ursaring a bit. We have to be careful of Bulk Up Drain Punch sets, but at the very least, I might be able to get in one of my other Pokemon afterwards. But primarily, like, the Dugtrio, the Diancie, and the Overquill is kind of what I'm looking at for dealing with. Potentially the Sylveon, but I'd rather just, you know, keep Porygon 2 as a good natural special defensive check to Sylveon. Instead of risking Chip on my Earthworm, so I can properly deal with the Diancie. And then next, we have a Choice Scarf Altaria with Cloud9. Remember me mentioning that Swift Swim is a dangerous thing on Overquill this game? Well, Cloud9 does not care. Unfortunately, Overquill still naturally outspeeds Altaria, as it's 85 compared to Altaria's base 80. So I still have to be Choice Band in order to get the outspeed, even though Cloud9 eliminates any effects of rain, so he loses his Swift Swim boost. But once again, naturally outspeeds, so I do have to be Choice Scarf. But the other benefit of Choice Scarf is if he is a setup Virizion, I'm able to deal with it accordingly. I have Brave Bird, obviously, just to pick up an immediate KO. If he's not behind a sub, no speed boost, anything like that, I'm able to outspeed him, avoid a Stone Edge, and just pick up the kill. I can also kill through Koba as well, which is pretty insane. And if he's a substitute set, we additionally have Dual Wing Beat. It was kind of just a fourth move. I was debating on what to do, and then I thought about a substitute, and I was like, Dual Wing Beat's kind of great for this. And I looked into the calc. One hit can do minimum 75%. So if he subs up and we hit both, I break sub with one, assuming he's at 75% because he subbed, I immediately kill him with another. If he's lefties, then it's probably a roll if he only got one turn of lefties. That's insane. So I'm looking forward to this thing doing some decent work. Unfortunately, even though it is like an offensive check to Overquill, it's weak. Like, I have 220 attack investment with Adamant Nature, and I'm only doing around half with Earthquake to Overquill, and that's if it's offensive. That's not Intimidate or anything. It's just I'm only doing half. Overquill has good natural bulk, and Altaria is weak. Outside of that, I mean, we have Terra Blast as well with Steel. It might be something that comes beneficial because, you know, physical, we can be that physical steel type necessary to maybe catch Diancie off guard or catch that Sylveon, etc. It is my only Terra Captain I'm bringing this week. Sorry, Bubby. But Terra, Steel, Altaria can really pick up a few, like, cheeky KOs, I will say. Not necessarily with Terra Blast, but just being able to catch him off guard with the Terra Steel. Even though I think it's the best in the game and he might expect it, it's just really risky counting on a Terra in a battle. So if he calls it, he calls it. But other than that, I can catch an Empoleon, a Sylveon, a Diancie, a Virizion, maybe even a Servine, literally all of those off guard, and it can benefit me very well. So Terra Steel looks great this week from a defensive revenge aspect kind of deal. And then lastly, we have a Crocodile that I think is going to win the game. I don't know, at one point I'm gonna like let it do its shenanigans, but this thing's an issue. We are Substitute, Earthquake, Throat Chop, and Gunk Shot with Leftovers and the Moxie ability. The idea behind this is that I'm able to get a substitute ideally in front of like Rotom Heat, maybe Overquill, maybe Dugtrio, maybe the Drifblim as well. And then after that, after I'm behind a sub, you might be like, oh, no, Beneral, what are you doing? Sylveon can just Hyper Voice you and kill you. No, it can't. Get Throat Chop. Now it can't do anything. It can't hit me whatsoever. Because for those of you who don't know, secondary effect of Throat Chop, you cannot use sound-based moves after getting hit with Throat Chop for 2 turns. And then I just kill him with Gunk Shot. Yay. And then after I pick up that kill, I get the +1 from Moxie. from Moxie. And then I can move on from there and hopefully steamroll. There's a few things that can still be like kind of annoying for this Crocodile. Obviously, Gastrodon is something we have to be aware of. Ursaring can take quite a few hits, especially if it's a Violite with like a lot of defense bulk. And then Rotom Heat, depending on its set. But once again, Substitute's a great way to punish Rotom Heat when you're able to deal with those electric type moves very easily, because Overheat's just too easy to work around because of that special attack drop. So, and with Leftovers, we're able to sub up multiple times and make great use of that. So, Crocodile and superior. I want either of those two to win the game, and then we'll see how much breaking we can do with the other Pokemon on the team, because this is very fire. This is honestly kind of like a fully offensive team. I know Porygon's still bulky, but I have the intent of clicking Double Edge majority of the time into his team, or just doubling out into one of my offensive Pokemon. And Earthworm's kind of defensive. Okay, maybe it's not the best, but it's more offensive than the balanced game I normally do. So I hope it goes well, man. I am worried about not having Mox, but hey, man, I was on the beach in the sand having a good time playing volleyball, just like my crows. Fly high, baby. But super excited for this game, and I hope you guys are as well. So look forward to the battle tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you then.